Hi, everybody. Welcome to Show It Live here on showithere.com. I'm Field, and this is Liz.
We are so excited that you have joined us for Show It Live. It's a weekly webcast that our team here at Show It, we put together for you. Each week, we bring on a different guest, and we talk about photography and creativity and small business ownership, and we are so excited for our guest today. Yes. She is Holli True, and she is a senior photographer, a high school senior photographer for girls in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, in the PNW.
In the PNW, like my homeland.
Yeah, your homeland. Like literally. She is from Eugene, Oregon.
She is.
You spent way too much time there.
I spent an amazing 4 years living there. I went to the University of Oregon. Go Ducks!
Yeah.
Big O's. All the O's.
Yeah, so we're based out of Arizona, though. And the Ducks came in and played Arizona State. And there's a little controversy going on about a touchdown they didn't score.
3 overtimes, and it was insane. I was already asleep.
But more important than that.
What could be more important?
Last year, on December 11th, we had a very classy Christmas.
We did.
Here at the Show It offices at the mothership. And we invited Showiteers from across the land. It was a very late invite, so we got people from Kansas and California. This year, we're opening it up to all of the Showiteers.
All Showiteers.
Across the greater United States. Plus,
around the world.
Yes, plus.
Canada, come on out.
Yeah. So on December 10th, we're doing a Show It Christmas party here. I don't know if we've decided on a theme.
A very classy Christmas.
I don't know if we've decided on a theme. No, it may very well be another very classy Christmas, which was wonderful. But it's the anti-ugly sweater.
Yes, it's the anti-ugly sweater party, and it's just fun to get together with everybody and celebrate the holiday season. And now that it is officially November, I've heard like pumpkin spice is out and long live peppermint.
Yes. So in the chat, which is over here on the left side of us, there's this great little chat window. Log in and let us know, one, where you're viewing from, and two, what you'll be doing on December 10th, because I want to know like how far away you are and if you can make it here. Because
that's like 6 weeks.
It's in 6 weeks, which bonus, the Tuesday 6 weeks before you travel is the cheapest time to buy an airline ticket. That would be like today. Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like we need to like raise the roof.
Woot. If you're flying in, we've done this before. We will get a bus and I will pick you up and drive you here.
An actual bus?
Ish. We had
like
the Sasquatch before United. Oh, did you know that's what it was called? We had a big 12-passenger van, and it was called the Sasquatch. Had a Sasquatch
I did drive a 12-passenger van at United, which was really fun. But when I went to pick it up at Dollar Rent-A-Car, the guy drives it up, and he looks at me, and he was like, "You? That?" And I said, "Yeah."
Fun fact, you can fit 35 Liz's in a 12-passenger van.
But you cannot fit all of our luggage.
No.
I do not pack light, ask my husband. Yeah. So... I think we just need to jump right in to talking to Holli because she has some amazing stuff. I actually got to Skype with her yesterday, and we Skyped for like an hour.
That's the duck thing.
We talked about all sorts of things. And here's something you might not know about Holli. So Holli True is a high school senior photographer. She specializes in photographing young girls, high school senior girls in the Pacific Northwest. But she's also an author. She wrote a book called Reckless. Actually takes place at the University of Oregon. And it's just super cool that she is both a photographer and a writer. And I think that's a great thing. Like, photographers are so creative that there are so many other ways that they like use their creative powers.
Have you read Reckless, or is it on your to-read list?
It is on my iPad waiting for me to read it.
So to-read list.
I have a very long to-read list for November and December, but I'm super, super excited about it.
Welcome, author and high school senior photographer Holli True to the show. Holli, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Oh, I love the Marilyn Monroe in the background.
Isn't that awesome? And that's her book right there.
Oh, look at the book.
Yeah. Thank you for talking about my book. That's
my gosh. Well, I just think it's so super cool.
That's a solid product placement. Good job. Do you have like Coca-Cola or anything you would like to talk about also?
Right. It wasn't like intentional to put it right there.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out where it could go, and my office isn't very big, so
it
kind of wound up there.
It worked for the purpose of this show, so thank you very much.
Yeah, it was kind of awesome.
Well, so we're going to jump right in, and we talked, like I said, we talked for an hour yesterday, and mostly we did talk about this topic because you just so understand your brand and your girl and your market. So I want to know, Holli, what is your marketing strategy?
Yeah, so it's funny because I actually kind of like anti-market to my girls. I don't really go into it with like a strategy of like what I have to do or anything like that. It's more so my girls kind of market for me, and that's also not intentional.
Mm-hmm.
They, they do their session, and I give them full permission to basically share the images as much as they want to. The only request that I have for them is that they tag me in the post, and they're happy to do that. And so a lot of times I'll get clients who had a session 8, 9 weeks ago, and they're still posting photos constantly, from their session. And so that helps market my business. But really, I don't push it really hard. It's word of mouth really a lot. And it's consistency, I think, is a big part of my marketing strategy, if you will, and knowing who my client is and making sure that I'm showcasing that client over and over and over again, and showing images that support the overall brand that I have.
So
Yeah.
so basically, people are falling in love with you and the images, and it's just kind of organic. Like, hey, go free, share this everywhere.
It's totally organic. It's not,
Perfect.
I don't pay for any advertising. I
Mm-hmm.
don't send out any mailers. I don't do any like ads in yearbooks. I don't pay for any advertising space. I pay for my website, and that is it. And I utilize social media. And so, it's a very simple, inexpensive way to market. Happy clients are the best marketing you can possibly ask for. And so that is really, I invest a lot of time and energy into my girls. And and that's really the way that I market with them is I let them, enjoy the experience and then just kind of share the experience with their friends.
I love that. And one of the things that you had said yesterday, Holly, is that you're really focused on having a relationship with your clients, not just seeing them as transactions. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means to you?
Yeah, it's not a transaction with my sessions. It's, I work all inclusive with my collections, and so I know in advance exactly where my clients fall. But no matter what collection they're choosing to get, whether it's my lowest collection or my highest collection, it's 100%, customer service regardless of where they fall, because I set my pricing, so I can't really be upset with what they choose to get. My guarantee to them is that they're absolutely going to have the best experience possible, that they're going to have an amazing senior portrait experience. And when we're shooting, it's not about what they're buying or what they've done. It's more so like getting them to a place where they feel beautiful, that they own their beauty, and that they just love the experience for their senior portraits. For seniors, it's typically their first time ever working with a professional photographer. So there's a really big responsibility there to make sure that it's a great one, because it will influence them, down the road. But it also is an experience that I feel will live with them forever, because it's that first time that they're, in front of a camera solo, especially. And so it's really important to me that they just love the entire experience and that they feel amazing.
Yeah. So this intrigues me. Where this Young and Free brand? Like, tell me about it. Tell me about it, and tell me where it came from.
Well, what's really funny is I had a whole other brand in mind, but I was actually at a United event, and Brady Purrier is actually who pulled me aside, and he's like, "You're missing the mark. Like, this is not your brand." And it was really deflating at the time. Like, I'll be honest, I was kind of like, "What do you mean? Like, yeah, like my brand." But he was totally right. My brand was definitely not me, and I wasn't really anywhere in my brand, if you will.
Sure.
My slogan at that time was "Modern Photographer for the Stylish Girl," and I'm not modern. I'm not a modern photographer. And my girls, I love my girls, but they're not fashionistas. My girls are very much, Pacific Northwest, American Eagle type girls. They go camping, they're sporty, they're not afraid to get a little bit dirty. And so that stylish girl mentality just didn't quite fit. So I actually, on the airplane ride home, I sat down and I kept writing down a bunch of words and was trying to kind of figure out where I could take my brand. And I pulled open a folder of images and looked at what the common thread was that was weaved through all of my images. And it was interesting because Young and Free just was something that kind of like stuck out to me. And it was there. It was always, always there. I just hadn't necessarily identified it. And so I was sitting there looking through everything, and then I thought about two things that I've always said. And one is that I will only ever be, I will never, I will only ever be as old as I feel.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's young.
Yeah.
I'm a dreamer. I've always been a dreamer. And the other thing is that I would never be a caged bird. And it's kind of interesting because I married when I was really young. I have kids, and, my freedom doesn't come in the form of being uninhibited. My freedom comes in my creativity. And so that was a really important thing to me, is that no one would ever cage that. And so Young and Free just became this obvious choice for me to brand myself, because it was 100% who I am, but it also spoke to 100% of the clientele that I seek.
No, I think that's super awesome, and you're only as young as you feel. That's true, because I still feel. I mean, apart from the knees, I still feel like I felt when I was 18.
Yeah,
Like I don't feel like I've changed at all, and that maybe because I'm a child. But I'm nowhere near 18, right?
Yeah,
but I love
no.
that. I would still consider
I'm
myself.
like double 18 now, and I still like have dreams about like when
For
I was
those of you who
18.
can't do math, it's 29.
You
I
know,
think
the
she's
thing, like you mentioned before, Elizabeth, like the book, and that was something that from the time that I could write, I said that I would write a book, and my life totally took a different plan of action and, you know, led me where I am today, but I still had that dream of being a writer. And so I believe that I don't care if I'm 85 and I have a dream, I'm going to pursue it, because I feel that I live one life. I got to do it right, and I got to chase the dreams. So
I feel like we
love
could
that.
break into 5 different songs right there.
Oh my gosh.
Which is great.
So many songs, but I love the idea that your freedom comes from being creatively free and getting to explore that.
I have a sparrow tattoo. This actually comes up a lot. And the sparrow is actually also part of my brand. And it's the only icon that I have in my brand, which is obviously the sparrow. And the reason why I went with the sparrow is because I put it on my right wrist, because everything that I do that is creative is with my right hand. I take pictures with my right hand. I draw with my right hand. I write with my right hand. And so that, you know, not being caged mentality came from, you know, the freedom of being a bird. And spreading my wings and flying.
I thought you were just a Pirates of the Caribbean fan, which is totally fine. Yeah, totally fine. There's actually a really good question came up. Rebecca Sheets asked, do you only photograph seniors, or do you shoot other things?
I only photograph seniors, and I only specifically photograph senior girls. Okay. I do sometimes get a boy, and I don't have any issues with photographing boys. I'm actually the only granddaughter in my family, and so I have a lot of experience working with boys. Yeah. I also could talk sports and ducks and football all day long, and so I can connect with them. But my brand and my style of photography really speaks to girls specifically. And you know, one of the things that I realized early on in my business was that my heart really was for girls specifically, because I feel that you know, society is so hard on them, and they don't often get permission to simply just feel beautiful and own that beauty. And so my my brand and my business really became this process of getting them to see themselves the way that I see them and the way that the world sees them, and getting them to accept that and own that, and just feel good. So
you're specializing only in seniors, but I know you used to shoot weddings, and for those for those that are watching that are maybe doing both, they're doing high school seniors and weddings or something else. Do you have any recommendations, Holly, on how they would market that? Do you think that they should separate those and make them two different things, or do you think there's power in keeping it together?
You know, honestly, I used to photograph weddings and engagements, and I actually had one brand for that, because I felt like my senior clients would one day become my brides, and I didn't want to necessarily work against myself and have 2 different websites or 2 different brands going on. If they were drawn to me at the age of 18, I would think that they would be drawn to me at the age of like 25. So for me, I didn't want to separate the brand. I think the only time that I would really recommend separating it is if you're doing something that could really hinder your business. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I used to be a boudoir photographer. I loved shooting boudoir, but I did keep that completely separate because I was working with underage girls, and then boudoir was you know, too sexy to be next to you know, senior photography. So I did keep those brands separate, but that is really the only one that I would probably separate out, simply because you have that underage factor and then that definite like overage factor. But as far as like weddings, I feel like if you're branding yourself and truly creating a brand that's authentic to who you are, you're going to be the same photographer showing up for those shoots and those sessions or those weddings. So it doesn't, to me, really make sense to separate them out completely, but maybe have them in separate parts of your website, which with Show It, obviously you can totally do that. You can create a plus site, or you can just not link it in certain areas and make it seem like you have 2 sites even though you only have 1. So
So
That's awesome.
another great question came up, but I think we're going to answer it here in a little bit. So we're going to hold off on Lucy's question for just a minute.
Okay.
Stay tuned, Lucy.
Stay tuned.
It's coming.
But I think your geographic market, like how do you, being a specializing in high school seniors, or and really specializing in the female high school seniors, do you focus on like one school or one town, or like what's your market geographically?
Yeah, I actually shoot all over the states, and I actually get clients from Washington pretty often as well. One of the beautiful things about my business, because I am so specialized and I'm only working with one specific niche, I have the opportunity to really expand that as far as a reach as I want to in terms of like geographically.
Sure.
And I'm willing to do it. I live in a beautiful corner of the US and I celebrate that. I absolutely love it. My surroundings aren't necessarily they're a background in my images, but the trees and the light, the way that the bokeh is created, like that's all an element to where I live. And so I'm happy to travel. I've done beach shoots, mountain shoots, snow shoots, waterfalls. Why not? So I work all over the state, and if a client wants me, like I want to be their photographer, and so I'm happy to make that work for them and travel to them or have them travel to me. So yeah, flexibility.
And that works because of something that you mentioned a little bit earlier, Holly, and that you have a specific structure to your pricing, and you know what the minimum is that you're going to make from a client, and that allows you to then drive and invest a little bit more. And you do charge them for that as well, correct?
There is
for
a travel fee.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a travel fee, and that some clients opt just to come to me, and that works too. Even Eugene, it's a college town, and Elizabeth knows this because she went to U of O, but that campus is absolutely stunning. And so, if people are looking for a little bit of everything, they want a little bit vintage, they want a little bit, natural. That's kind of like the perfect mix of all of that because it's all there and it's very simple to get to for me. So a lot of times clients will come to me unless they want a very specific thing like the beach, which is only an hour away from me. So that's pretty simple. Or if they want snow, it's about an hour and a half, east of me. So we can make that work based on what they want. And that's a really important thing for me is, with my clients, I don't ask them, where do you want to go? I ask them, what are you looking for? Because based on what they answer, I can help them narrow down the right location. And if I can get them to a location I've worked in before, it makes it easier to connect with them and work directly with them versus worrying about the location that we're in. I know what will work, and it allows me to do my job better because I know how the lighting is going to work. I know what time of day to shoot there, things like that.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Another great question that came up, Aaron Green asked, and I think this kind of goes along with that, because if you're getting people from different areas of the state without the mailers or paid advertising and whatnot, how do you get, like, not only those clients, but how do you get your first client? Like, where would you
If you're just getting started.
Yeah.
If you're just getting started, social media is a really powerful thing, but I think the very first thing you need to invest in is your own real estate. One of the things I did first off was get a website. And even though I didn't have any traffic going there, it gave me it solidified the fact that I was a solid photographer because I had a place that I could say, hey, go here, go look at this. I did a lot of free shoots. I'm not going to lie when I first started, but that's how I learned. And I have no shame in that. It allowed me to test the waters in all demographics and kind of see where my heart was with all of it. When I first started, I thought that I was going to be a child and family photographer, and just kidding. Like, I didn't want to actually do that once I really figured out what it was going to mean to do that.
Yeah.
And I had this glamorous idea that I was going to be a wedding photographer, and that became the pursuit for me. And I realized that also wasn't something that was the right fit for me because I'm a hands-on, social, connected photographer. Like, I want to engage with them. And so I think that in the beginning, when you're just getting started, test everything, see what you like, and then really, start to dig deep internally as to who you are, what makes you tick, what you're inspired by. Look at all those things, because all of that can funnel in and feed into your brand and your style and help you become a photographer that really stands out in your market versus being kind of the photographer that looked at photographer A or B and said, I'm going to do the same thing. Elizabeth and I talked about this yesterday. There is a photographer here who's been in business for like 30 years. And that's who I was up against, was a photographer who I wanted to have when I was a senior. All my friends had them. And yeah, it's a little stressful to be like, I'm up against that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I looked at it as an opportunity because I knew who was going to him. And so I knew who not to target.
Yeah.
There's a whole other margin of clients out there that aren't hiring that photographer. So for me, that's not competition, that's opportunity.
Yeah.
I love thinking about it that way, that it's not competition, it's an opportunity to kind of find your niche market. And with your Young and Free brand, it's so specific, and your photos, like you could look at a senior photo and be like, oh, that's Holli True. Like I just know what your girls are gonna look like. Like you said, the background is the background, the focus is really on them. I love that. Back to Lucy's question, because I feel like this really feeds into Lucy's question. You shot a bunch of different things and you found that this is your brand, this is what you love. What did it take to become a full-time senior portrait photographer? Is that really something that people can do, that you can like, that's all I specialize in?
I think you have to be realistic about it. And I think that you need to know exactly what you need to make per year and make sure that that's going to be on your books. I started my business in 2007. I did not go full-time until 2010. I had a full-time job that I was doing as I was transitioning into a full-time career as a photographer. So it can be done. You just have to know, what you're looking at as far as numbers. I couldn't leave my job until I knew that I could bring in what I was bringing in at my corporate gig. So I did not leave then. I will be honest, at that time I was shooting weddings, but I was only shooting about, 5 or 7 weddings a year. So it wasn't the bulk of my income, but it still was a portion of it.
Sure.
I did not specialize in seniors until I could support the income that I wanted to make. So it was a transitional thing. That's why I didn't just jump full-fledged into seniors right off the bat. I had to build the clientele, build that market for myself in order to do that. So you have to be realistic about it. I did say no to very specific things, though, that I knew I absolutely didn't want to shoot. And then I said yes to the things I didn't mind doing, and then gradually was able to say no to everything but seniors.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
No,
Right?
that's really great advice. And I think it's important. You have to look at this as a business, and you need to be able to make money. Otherwise, it's a hobby. And if it's a business, you have to.
It's a very expensive hobby.
It's a very expensive hobby. How does your senior model program fit into this? Because I think that's something we hear a lot about. Senior photographers do a senior model program, which is really unlike, I don't think I've heard of like a bride model program. Like that doesn't really exist. How does this work into it? And especially for those that are starting out, is this something that's beneficial to growing and building your business?
What's really interesting is the one thing a lot of people don't realize is that when you're a senior photographer, you have to reinvent the wheel every single year. You don't get repeat clients. It's a one-shot deal and you're done. So you really have to find a way to stay in the game constantly, even if you're not you're not going to be in the high schools, and you don't want to be the creeper at a football game being like, hey, I'm like double your age, but let's hang out. Like that doesn't work. So you really have to
Especially
find
if you're
a way
a dude.
I mean, well, even though, like, come on, like, if I approach, like, the football players and be like, hey, guys, you want to hang out?
You ever had your picture taken?
Hey, cheerleader, let's hang out and talk about pom-poms afterwards. Yeah, they'll think you're nuts.
Seriously. And I like to think that I'm cool enough that I can connect with these kids, but at the same time, like, I'm 34. Like, I'm not 17.
Are you on Snapchat?
I tried.
Yeah, yes, it's totally cool. You said 34, and I'm 33. We are at least 9 years past the age of Snapchat.
I just can't, and I feel like they need a place that's theirs that I'm not invading. I'm everywhere else. Like, let them have something that the adults aren't in,
Not because we don't understand it. That's not it. We just want them to have their own place.
She does Periscope, though. You did an awesome Periscope yesterday.
Thank you.
You can follow Holli on Periscope.
I love Periscope, but I don't feel like they're really there yet. I feel like that's actually a better way to communicate with photographers versus like my clients. I'm not really using it as a marketing piece for clients necessarily. But so with my senior model program, that's my way of being in the high schools without being the creeper who's trying to like hang out in the locker bay with them. So my senior model program was, I used to have attitude about it, I'm not gonna lie, but I didn't have the right program that fit for me. I don't want to babysit my clients, and I don't think they want to be babysat. And I also used to put a lot of pressure on them to give me referrals and get these bookings. And it just felt very like car salesy. And I run from car salesmen. Like, I'm like, no, don't sell to me. I don't want to be sold to. And so I was like, then why am I trying to turn my models into little car salesmen? Because that's just not okay either. So I switched the mentality of my senior model program entirely. And I don't ask them to do anything other than, if they're happy with their images, share them. And I'm not going to track them. I'm not going to babysit them. And my little senior models are flippin' amazing. And they are the best little social networkers out there for me. And I absolutely love these girls. And, you know, the one thing that I can give them more than anything else is time. And I've done multiple shoots with them. This time of year is really crazy, and I feel really bad because I want to get them back in front of my camera. We've just done all their senior sessions pretty much. But I want to get them together to do some more fun shoots. And that is just really fun for me to be able to give them those types of experiences, because I'm using the term senior model. They better be modeling something. And so for me, it's like, let's do photo shoots. Let's create some beautiful things, and let's just hang out. And a lot of my senior models over the years, I wind up working with them again. And that's a big thing for me is, you know, during the course of their experience with me as a senior model, I ask them, in the future, if I have a project that I'm working on or workshops that I teach or any of those things, would you be interested in modeling again for me? Because I would love to get you back in front of my camera. And so it keeps them interacting and engaged and involved with me years later when they're not my clients. And no, they're not paying me. But again, my clients aren't transactions. My clients are my friends. They're people that I absolutely love, and they're a huge factor and component of my life and my business and my heart for what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So the focus just stays on the relationship. And,
absolutely.
And then being interested, I guess, in sort of what they're interested in, or making sure that you're offering things to them that they are interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because you got to find the things that are common denominators. Like, I don't try to pretend like I'm involved in things that I'm really not involved in, but there are things that connect us. Like, I'm obsessed with Vampire Diaries and Twilight, and clearly like a vampire thing, I don't really know, but I'm really into that. And that tends to be stuff that they're drawn to as well. So those are things that we can chat about that are very like organic, authentic conversation. Music is a huge one for me. I'm major music lover, movie lover. And so those are just basic things that we can chat about that make it really easy, just immediate connectors. As the shoot progresses, then it becomes more in depth. You know, what are your plans? What are you going to do? Are you going to go to college? Are you going to take a year off? Like, where are you going to travel for spring break? Have you picked out your prom dress yet? Like, those are all things that, like, I've been there. I can totally chat with them about those things. It's really important that I'm not I hate when I say it. I hate to say this because I always feel really guilty. Like, okay. I'm a wife and a mom, and that is like two things that I am so proud to be. Like, that I'm proud to be Jeff's wife. I am proud to be Cole and Addie's mom. But when I go to a shoot, I just get to be Holli, and that's also awesome. I don't have to go be Holli the mom or Holli the wife. I get to go be Holli the girl. And a lot of times when you get married and you have kids, you lose part of your identity to the titles that you wear. Sure. And for me, my brand and my business gave me the opportunity to discover the girl that started to get a little bit lost. And so that was a very amazing process for me.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I could just listen to you all day long.
Let's do it. Oh. Longest short live ever.
It just keeps going and going. But we have so many great questions that have come up in the chat. One was specifically about pricing, and this is totally up to you how specific you want to get with pricing. But you do set a goal so that you know how many shoots you need to shoot in, say, a week or a month or overall the year to be able to bring in that income that helps to support your family.
Yes. So the question is.
So I guess the question is can you talk about specifically how you structured your pricing? And we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that digital for your client is really where it's at. They're not as interested in product up front, but they are maybe then on the back end.
And I think it's important to note. So this was a question from Lucy. Like every market is different. What it takes to make a living in Phoenix, Arizona is different than what it takes to make a living in Eugene, Oregon, and wherever you are. And so when you, I just think it's really important to say, like, when you're talking pricing, just know, like, it's about what's going to work in your market, not necessarily what I can charge in my market, but where I'm living, what do I need to make
Yeah.
to make this a substantial business. So
Well, I think pricing changes per market, but I'm not sure if the interest in the deliverables changes as much, because kind of teenagers are teenagers, right? Like they're all addicted to this thing.
Well, yeah, like the phone's really important. And the thing is like, you got to know your numbers. You got to know exactly who your client is. You got to know where they fall, what they're willing to spend. You price yourself out of that low or high, you're going to miss them. So if you're missing the mark under, they're not going to hire you. And if you're missing the mark over, they're not going to hire you. So you really have to find that sweet spot with your clients. I work all over the state of Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, really. So I have 3 different all-inclusive collections that fit the different demographics. Now, my Eugene client base is not not the clientele that's spending a lot of money. It's a college town, and it's not. They're not spending as much money. However, if I travel to Portland or Bend, those are bigger markets, more budget, and so I do have collections that support that. I set my pricing. So like I said before, I don't get angry if my client buys my bottom collection or my top collection. It doesn't really matter to me. I've set my pricing. I'm happy making what I'm making. It's enough for me. And so I'm good with it. I offer digital files. Digital files obviously don't cost me money. So that's a really easy way to add value to a collection, but keep my pricing affordable for different markets. I have very specific products that I offer that they cannot buy on their own. I don't deal with like the 8x10 prints or the 5x7 prints because, one, they know how expensive they really are. I can't mark them up and really make any money. And it's just going to be all this extra work for me that I don't really want to like spend doing. I just don't want to do it. So I explain to them how they can print them on their own, who they should print through, all of that. What I work with is albums, magazines, and slideshows are a big one, and also mounted prints. And those are 4 things that they aren't able to just go print on their own. Now, in terms of marketing, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. I just reached over and grabbed it. A magazine was one of my biggest marketing pieces this year because parents don't care if their girls take these to school because it's not an album that they spent a bunch of money on. It's a magazine. These magazines are not expensive, but they're not buying the magazine itself. They're buying all the images that are inside of it. And so this becomes a really great marketing piece for me. But again, I'm not telling them, hey, go market me. I'm saying, hey, here's your gorgeous images in a magazine. I hope you love it. And so
Supermodel, go show your friends.
If you're into that.
If you want to.
What? Yeah, totally. Like, you look amazing. Go show the world. So for me, it's an easy way to market my business, but also an easy way to display the images for them. And it's just cool. Like, they look like supermodels. You're totally right. Why not put them on a cover of a magazine?
Yeah.
Right?
No, I think that's so much fun. How do you communicate all this information to them? Like, are you sending your stuff out in print, or how does that happen?
Yeah, so I've tried everything. I've tried in print. I've tried PDFs. I've tried the online magazine, which I thought was so cool. But, what I've learned over the years is that I can only control one place on the web, and that is my website. And that is the one area that I know what's going to be everywhere on there. I used to send them to a magazine online, and then I would find other photographers getting promoted or things that had nothing to do with who my client is. And sometimes it was like really scandalous stuff that I was like, I don't want you looking at that. So I went in and I created a client lounge and a VIP lounge for my clients, and it's all a part of my website. And that way, everything they need to know about their website, about their shoot is there. Yeah. How to prep, the cost of everything, everything you can think of that they could, like, what to wear, what to bring, all of that. It's all wrapped into a website. The beautiful thing about that is it tells Google that I have repeat people going back to my site time and time again, right? Which is good. Maximize the real estate.
Ninja SEO.
So important. It's so important. But it's also locked down. Not everybody can get into it. It's my client's space. And if you're a senior model for me, it's a VIP lounge. Okay. So for them, it's a totally separate space. They're not going in where everybody else is going, and it's exclusive to them. Yeah. So for me, putting it onto my website was the best option. I could control it, and I could fill it with information, and I could make it pretty. I could put my clients in there. Yeah. So I had total control.
That's awesome. And you're using Show It Plus sites to do that with your lounge?
I'm not. No, what I did.
Built it into the site?
Well, because I don't want to I don't want to log in and out to just make a quick update.
Yeah.
So I just added an extra style group onto it, and so it's just locked down.
Yeah.
So you can't it's not linked anywhere on my website. You have to have the direct link to get into it, and then you have to have the password to get into it. So it's all just on one site. But I love plus sites, but I'm updating them too often that it was like frustrating to go in and out. If I was doing it like once or twice a year, plus site would be totally the way to go.
So you make updates often then to your site? Like, are you adding new photos, or you're shooting new shoots?
I just went and added new photos yesterday because I was like, dang, it's been like 5 months and I haven't updated photos. So I don't update the photos as often as I'm updating like the content. That's and, you know, I don't wait until the end of the season to change things. If it's not working, it's not working. I'm not going to like battle it out. I'm just going to fix it. Yeah. And so I'm constantly in there making adjustments to things. And then, you know, just various things that I'm working on, you know, for educational side. I'm working there a lot with that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So I want to go back to the magazine for just a moment. Can you show that again? So do you brand that? Yeah. So it has Young and Free on the top. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Young and Free by Holli True. Perfect. And that's the only branding that's in it. It's literally horizontals are a full page spread. Mm-hmm. They look all creepy, like peeking around there. And then verticals are 2 page.
Love it.
And I designed these in InDesign. Yep. Really simple. It takes like 5 minutes to lay them out. And it's just the images that they choose in their collection, the digital files that they select, are the images that go into the magazine.
And who do you use to print your magazine?
I use MagCloud for that. It's a really great company. I've used them for years now. Absolutely love them. The key to it, guys, is to get the perfect binding, not the stitch, because it's thicker paper, and so they won't rip. So make sure you do the perfect binding.
And it's only $1 more to do perfect binding.
It's not even. It's so inexpensive just to get it, and it's so worth it. Yeah. Better paper.
And they're located in Medford, Oregon. Did you know that that's where they print those out of?
I had no idea.
Yeah, MagCloud isn't there, but they actually print out of Medford, and that's why you get them so quickly.
Everyone's like, it takes me forever, and I'm like, I get them in like 2 days. I don't know why. There you go.
I know all sorts of useless facts about Oregon.
Oregon.
Yeah.
You're not even from there.
I'm not even from there, but I love it.
The other thing real quick I want to talk about, because I don't want to forget about this too. Yeah. Another really big component to my marketing is the fact that I can offer mobile apps to my clients. That's a really big seller. They live in their cell phones, their iPhones. I don't know if they call them cell phones. I just aged myself a lot there. They live in their smartphones, and they're always in them. And so it was very important to me to be able to offer them a mobile app that they could, again, share the images, but not because they're trying to market for me, just because they're happy having their photos, like they're excited about their images. I use Shootproof. You guys know that I do digital files, and because I'm working all over the state and all over the Pacific Northwest, it's not realistic for me to do in-person sales. I don't do in-person sales. I load the gallery up for them. I get that sent off. They pick their images. I do a final edit on the images that they select. I make them downloadable, and I create a mobile app. It's like the easiest process in the world.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, and I'm sure they love it. And then their friends get to see it, and they're showing and sharing it.
Yes,
that word of mouth marketing is just fantastic.
Huge. Yeah. It's huge.
And they're a really neat company. They really are.
They are.
Really neat company.
I love the people over there, and I know Colin's wife Tessa is such a sweet person.
I love Tessa. And they're amazing. I have nothing but amazing things to say. And it took me a long time to find the right company to do what I do. And I'm the kind of person that if it's not working, I'm not going to stay. And so I, show it, you guys. I love you guys. I've been with you guys for forever. I love the control. Shootproof, same thing. Like if you're making it easier for me to do my business, that's what it's about for me. Simplicity. Every aspect of my life. Simplicity. I'm not trying to make it overly complicated.
Well, and then that allows you to do awesome things like write books and have very specific brands and drive all over the gorgeous Pacific Northwest shooting. And Holli, we are so grateful that you took time out of your day today to be with us. And I think you've probably inspired a ton of people who were interested in growing their senior photography businesses.
Yeah.
Do it. Seniors are like the best market you can possibly work with. It's always fun. It's always inspiring. And they're an awesome age. It's such an amazing age. Give them the best first photography experience you can. Yeah. So it's like, do it. It's the best thing you could do.
That's awesome. I had never actually thought about that this was the first time that they get to experience working with a professional photographer. I think that's really neat. And I'm glad that you realize it.
they've probably done family sessions, but it's never like solely about them. And
Sure.
going into a senior session, it really is the very first time that it's solely about them, what they want, everything. So yeah, it's amazing.
No, that's unbelievably true and awesome. Well, Holly, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining us
guys
today.
so
We
much.
absolutely loved having you on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am honored. I thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing, and I can't say enough amazing things about Show It. You guys are just rad. So thank you.
So it's a pretty cool company. Yeah.
Pretty
It is.
much.
We're,
It's really
we're,
amazing.
we're pretty blessed to have these awesome jobs and work with Joe. And we love you, and we will see you soon. And we'll be cheering for the Ducks from
Ducks.
2 states apart.
Go
So
Ducks.
go Ducks! Oh, hey!
Not at all. That's not a universal thing. But thank you, Holly. So also, if you guys would like to be involved with Show It Live or a contributor on showithere.com, there's a spot right underneath the video here that says apply now to speak on Show It Live. Share an image with us, what you're passionate about, what you'd love to help share with the world and all of that. So it's just a great opportunity for us to get to know you, as well as for you to share
We've
your
been getting
passions.
so many amazing applications from people, and we have some really cool shows lined up. I just had a Skype date yesterday with someone. We're going to be talking about becoming a better writer.
Ooh.
And yeah, it's going to be awesome because blogging is super, super important. If you haven't gotten, speaking of blogging, if you haven't gotten our blogging guide, you can go to showit5.com and sign up and get more information about Show It 5, which is coming, and it's so awesome. But you can also download our free blogging guide.
Speaking of Show It 5, that's all I'm going to
Just a
say.
little transition.
So next week, join us for a very special engagement. I think we're going to have some in-studio guests that are going to be helping us showcase something super awesome for the future. So tune in next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, right here on showithere.com, and we'll see you guys then. Thank you so much.